Head of Xbox Phil Spencer gives us more details about the record-breaking acquisition between Xbox and all of Bethesda. Let's get into it, shall we? What is going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. And if you guys could do me a huge favor, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and maybe share this video out on social media. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for all the support. Well, today is the big day. The Xbox Series X and Series S officially go on pre-order. I'm kind of making this video a couple hours before they do. I hope I get them. And for anybody out there who's waiting at GameStop or sitting at their computer hitting that refresh button, I hope you get your next-gen console of choice as well. But today we're going to be continuing our discussion about the absolutely huge deal between Xbox and Bethesda. And yesterday, Phil Spencer went on both CNBC and Bloomberg to give more details and more information about how this is going to affect Xbox, their first-party studios, and Game Pass moving forward. So before I play those two interviews for you back to back, I just want to talk a little bit about Phil Spencer and what he did for the Xbox brand, because it wasn't looking very good after the initial Xbox One launch, and there was a point in time where I was very concerned that Xbox would just eventually go away, that gaming would no longer be welcomed at Microsoft. Look, I don't need to rehash and tell you guys what happened to the Xbox One in 2013. It's old news, it's in the history books. Everybody knows that Microsoft made a huge mistake with the Xbox One. Between the years 2013 and early 2017, funding was cut to Xbox. Studios were closed like Lionhead, and projects were canceled like Scalebound that we know of. I was incredibly worried that Xbox would just fade away into the sunset, maybe be sold off to another corporation like Amazon or Google that was looking to get into gaming. But Phil Spencer took it upon himself to convince the new CEO, Satya Nadella, that not only should Microsoft be in gaming, but it needs to be a pillar of the entire corporation. Industry analyst Z Huge tweeted this yesterday, and I think it's incredibly important to realize the history of what was happening at Xbox and the turnaround that we're seeing here before we get into the Phil Spencer interview. He says there was a point in early 2017 where it became clear the Xbox One project wasn't working out. Xbox had canceled projects, closed studios, and by 2017 there was a cut in funding to the gaming segment. Towards the end of that year, Spencer was promoted to the senior leadership team. Since then, Xbox management have worked to put a strategy in place that revolves around extending the Xbox ecosystem through software, services, and hardware, with support right from the top. It's allowed them to double the number of owned studios and shift focus beyond console. Microsoft now has 23 studios that are a part of Xbox Game Studios, but literally 2 years ago, before 2018, they only had 7. And off the top of my head, I can only really remember 343, The Coalition, Rare, and Turn 10. 7 internal studios making games. And that all changed once Phil Spencer got to sit at the big boy table and got all the money needed to fund all the projects. They went out and bought studios like Ninja Theory and Playground, Obsidian, In Exile, and Compulsion Games. Then he just dropped $7.5 billion on Bethesda to get another 8 studios. So in 2 years, we went from 7 Xbox studios to 23. This next article pretty much spells it out for everybody. It says many developers who had worked on the Xbox One felt let down by Microsoft's big vision. It was, as some told Spencer, not in the line with the soul of what Xbox was. Quote, Satya was transparent that there could be a future where gaming isn't a business that Microsoft should be in, Spencer told me. But it's better to have it above the table than below the table, right? Spencer tried to work out what to say to Nadella. He looked at where Xbox had failed and how the brand could be saved, if at all. When he finally called Nadella back, it was to say this, quote, if we're going to stay in the gaming space, then let's make sure we're all in. The last thing I wanted to do was run the gaming organization here as a kind of afterthought of the company and kind of half in, half out. Let's go fix who we are. Before yesterday, before the big acquisition of Bethesda, there are actually some people out there that would say Microsoft isn't fully in on gaming. They aren't 100% behind Xbox. But fast forward 24 hours, nobody is saying that anymore. Your words do matter, but actions always speak louder. And with Microsoft and Satya Nadella basically giving Phil $7.5 billion to buy a huge publisher to get all these great games to Game Pass, you damn well know that Xbox has the full backing of Microsoft and they're completely all in. Now, I kind of intended this whole beginning part to be a little bit shorter because it's really about what Phil had to say about the Bethesda acquisition. So please enjoy the 2 interviews with Phil Spencer. And if you're pre-ordering a Series X and a Series S, I hope you get one. Later, guys.
I first want to ask about this. How will these ZeniMax assets help you with this latest Xbox launch, your Game Pass momentum, and xCloud?
Yeah, I mean, gamers love great games. You just mentioned we've got the Xbox consoles going on pre-order tomorrow for the next generation. Just last week, we added Game Pass cloud streaming so people can play this Game Pass library across all of their phones, the Android phones out there. And then obviously Game Pass, which is the largest game content subscription out there, 15 million subscribers and growing. So getting to work with ZeniMax to bring their amazing collection of games to Game Pass is just an incredible opportunity for us.
Now, financially, when will this be accretive? Are you making cuts to this company as you acquire it, or are you going to leave it alone?
Our plan is to leave it alone. I mean, ZeniMax has an amazing track record of building great games. Our goal is to make ZeniMax the best ZeniMax they can be, working individually with their studios on the great platform technology that we have, getting their creators' feedback into the things that we need to go build. That's just a critical flywheel for us innovating, is the feedback of the world's best creators on our platforms.
Tell me about the gaming ecosystems overall. Microsoft has spoken out against the way that Apple controls its App Store on those lines, but how is that really different from the percentage that console makers take on games on their platforms?
When you get large-scale general compute platforms like mobile phones, people should have access to the great content and services that are out there, and we remain committed to that. There are over 3 billion people who play video games today. Many of them play on phones, and we're committed to bringing Game Pass to all mobile phones out there, including Apple phones. We'll continue the conversations, and I'm sure we'll be able to get to some resolution.
Yeah, I'm not sure that gets to the core issue of how it's different, though. What is the core issue? I mean, 30% take? Is it how they're trying to command the way you do games in the cloud that also work through the App Store?
Our biggest issue isn't a financial issue. Our biggest issue is that cloud game streaming apps are actually not allowed in the way that Game Pass is built for other platforms. So for us, this is about gamers having great access to the content from the creators they love on the devices they own. Play the games that you want with the community that you want to play on the devices that you have. That's our goal.
So, Phil, on that note, then, how will this affect the launch of future games? I know that ZeniMax was developing one for PS5 exclusively. Does that stay intact, or is that going to change after this deal?
Yeah, the commitments we've already made with the gamers out there on the games that people know about, we will continue with those commitments. The thing this is really about is a huge investment in our Xbox community. They know that the great games coming from ZeniMax and all of those studios, we're now at over 23 studios inside of Xbox, those games will be able to come to the Xbox community. They'll come to Game Pass day and date, and people will have just an amazing collection of great games to continue to play on Xbox.
Xbox Series X launch. I think pre-orders open tomorrow morning. You're not going to have Halo Infinite for that. How has COVID affected game availability, and how's that going to affect your marketing and your expectations around the console launch?
Yeah, with people sheltering in place, work from home, we've seen incredible engagement in the gaming community over the last few months, and we're really proud of the way that gaming has been able to play such a pivotal role for people. But you're absolutely right. Games today are hundreds of people coming together to build these massive games, and it's important that we're conscious of the safety of our teams, and it does have an impact on production, and you're seeing some of that out there. But when we look at this launch and people's appetite for gaming right now, we're very bullish on how our pre-orders are going to go tomorrow. We have the most powerful console in the market. We have the most affordable console in the market. We've got things like Xbox All Access that allow people to join this next generation of gaming for $24.99 a month, no upfront cost. You get a console and Game Pass. In times like this, I think that accessibility of price point and offer is really, really important.
It's obviously a big buy for you, Bethesda, maker of popular games like Elder Scrolls, Doom, Fallout. Talk to us about why you wanted to buy this content rather than just host it, given that Bethesda is still contractually obligated to make games for Sony.
Yeah, we view content as just being critical to our platform. We've got Game Pass growing very fast. We're over 15 million subscribers. As you mentioned, we've got consoles. We're going into pre-order for our next generation of consoles tomorrow. We've launched xCloud last week into our Game Pass subscription so people can play our games on their mobile phones. Content is just foundational to what we do. And with this move, we double the number of content creators we have inside of Xbox, which I think is a great move for the Xbox community.
So once inside Xbox, ultimately will Bethesda then start making games for only Xbox and PCs only and not PlayStation?
Clearly, our commitment with this move is that Xbox and PC and people playing on xCloud and Game Pass will get ZeniMax's games. So the collection of Bethesda studios will be coming to Xbox and Xbox Game Pass, and that's just a huge commitment from us. In terms of other platforms, I think we'll make a decision on a case-by-case basis, but this is really a move to just show the strong commitment to the Xbox community that great games will be coming.
Now, as you mentioned, gaming traffic has soared. You've now got 15 million subscribers on Game Pass. That said, some gamers have been disappointed in some of the gaming offerings. How much of this is pull forward demand given the pandemic, and what do the quarters ahead then look like?
We see gaming as a really strong growth category. It has been for many years. 3 billion people play video games on the planet, half the connected world. It's nearly a $200 billion top-line business. Both of those numbers growing by double digits. So gaming is just a secular trend in entertainment, people moving from passive entertainment to active entertainment. You see it, kids everywhere playing video games, Minecraft, Fortnite. It's just a really strong place for Microsoft to make an investment with the transformations we're seeing in the business.
As you said, content is king, so I have to ask about the TikTok deal. Of course, it is still playing out, but how big a deal is it that Microsoft lost the TikTok deal?
We were pretty public about how that played out. I don't have anything to say with how TikTok is working now, but when I look at our growth aspirations in the consumer space as Microsoft, I think our investments in gaming and reaching communities everywhere is going to be critical to our long-term success with consumers.
That said, the Trump administration is now pushing U.S. gaming companies on their ties to Tencent, and that means Fortnite and League of Legends, which are hugely popular on Xbox. What is Microsoft's position in this geopolitical tug of war? What if Trump starts cracking down on Fortnite and League of Legends?
We've taken a long-term approach to gaming. We think people should be able to play the games that they want to play with the community they want to play with on the devices that they want to play on, and that's been central to our strategy. We work with global partners to be able to do that, and we hope to continue to do that. It's really a cornerstone of our strength of reaching the over 3 billion gamers on the planet.
Meantime, there's a battle royale going on between Fortnite maker Epic Games and Apple and Google. Xbox has its own situation with Apple's App Store. Do you think Apple and Google are monopolies like Epic says?
We think gamers on general purpose compute devices should have access to services like Game Pass cloud streaming. We think that should be available to everyone, and we're committed to making that happen. We'll continue to work with the large mobile operators out there. We'll work with Apple, we'll work with Google, we'll work with Samsung. We're doing that today. And I think gamers should have choice with the devices that they have on the content that they get to play.
Now, tech markets have been choppy. Microsoft has seen a pretty significant rise given the work from home trends, but shares have been down since losing TikTok. Shares are down a little bit today. What's your take on that reaction and the volatility that we're seeing?
I think we're always taking a long-term approach to growth opportunities for us as a company, and gaming is one of those areas. It's just a strong, growing consumer category. It's an area where we have some unique strengths relative to our tech competitors that are trying to move in. I mean, this deal is a perfect example. When you think about ZeniMax, they brought their first console game ever, Elder Scrolls, to the original Xbox. This is a relationship that's been built almost nearly 20 years. So when we look at this gaming category and the strength that we have, as this category is moving moving from device to player control and our ability to deliver cloud game subscription to every gamer on the planet, this is a long-term growth category for Microsoft, and we're incredibly excited to be able to continue to invest.
Now, you've got new consoles out, a new acquisition under your belt, and a captive audience in the middle of a pandemic. What is your outlook on the holiday season and how this one might be different than years past?
Yeah, really good question. Our pre-orders for Xbox Series S and Series X go live tomorrow globally. We're excited about that. But you hit on a point. This is a time where accessibility of gaming is really, really important. We have the most powerful console in the market with Series X, but Series S at $299 here in the US is the most affordable next-generation console. And on top of that, we have programs like Xbox All Access, which allows somebody to enter this generation of consoles for $24.99. It gives them the hardware, it gives them the gaming subscription and all the content that they would want to play. A really accessible price point at a time of a lot of uncertainty for families.